Okay, for this project, what I'm gonna do is use one stamp to fill in a whole area, and it kind of looks like wallpaper. So I'm gonna make a border with my stamp, and I'm gonna use masks to help me get that nice and crisp. But my mask's also gonna be helpful for me here because when I line it up where my stamp overlaps on my mask from my previous stamp, I'm gonna line that line up every time so that I get even spacing between. I'm gonna just outline that line that I'm talking about just so I can make myself a little more clear because I don't really know how to explain what I'm doing, but you'll see what I mean. And for my second row, I'm gonna need another mask so that I'm masking my work beneath me as I'm working to the left. And I thought it would be fun to just throw in some foliage in there, so I'm just gonna randomly put a stamp in there just to break up the pattern a little bit, but it looks nice unbroken and it looks nice throwing something in there just for some variance in the pattern. So I'm gonna have a mask for that as well. And that's that. You can do as many rows as you need to fill up the space you're working with. I imagine this project going over really well with the bottom of a drawer, or just a simple little art piece like this, or stamping some font on top once you're all done. So yeah, it'd be great to fill out a whole space using just one stamp. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill in these flowers with some acrylic paint, kind of just like abstract style. And go ahead and do that. But you can imagine choosing a different color palette, nice white with some gray or and here are the colors that I chose to work in. And I decided that I would actually add a little bit of the brown paint to all of the colors that I chose in the end. I started off just painting this in like with the nice red color that I chose, but I thought it was just like a little too harsh and the colors didn't seem to like blend together. Like, I don't know, it just didn't look quite right to me. So when I added that brown to all my colors, it was almost like adding a filter to my piece before it was even finished or even done. And this is where my camera died. And I didn't want you guys to miss out on how I filled in the flowers, so I thought I'd start like a second piece just to show you what I did. So I just went in there with just the one stamp and started painting. And if you do like what I'm doing here to achieve that look, I find it's really important to go in there with like a really quite a large brush for the area you're filling in. And don't blend the colors a whole lot. Like each flower, I went in there with like a dark and a high, low light. So to fill in my flowers, I chose a dark color and I would mix in white as I was going into towards the center. I'm using a nice thick brush and I'm just doing strokes in the way the flower petals kind of go in towards the center. And I'm not playing with my paint too much because they're abstract flowers. I don't want to like soften the brush strokes. I want the brush strokes to be visible, and I not a whole lot of detail in these. They're just soft and subtle and not detailed at all. It is fun to just slap the paint on there. And I'm filling in the empty space with the dark brown, but I'm not being like too picky about filling in all the orange space. I'm letting some peek through. It looks easy and breezy. A lot of oil paintings, you can see the undercoat popping through in a lot of areas. It's intentional, I guess, and I like it, so I'm leaving it. Is there a word for that when you leave like the primer or the back coat exposed in the finished piece? Now I'm going in around the entire thing with the white, and like I said, I'm not being too picky about getting in there perfect. There's a lot of orange peeking through. Going really heavy with the paint, it's really textured and thick. All those brush strokes. Love them. I'm adding a little bit of glam here just because I've had this tub of paint for 4 years. I got it at Home Depot, and I just kind of like throw it in a lot of products just because I have so much of it and I kind of need to get rid of it. I'm surprised that it's still good at this point, but yeah, it adds a lot of glam and reflects the light, and I just love gold, so I don't mind throwing some gold in there. Now I'm going back to the original piece and touching that up, filling in the white background and putting that gold glam back in there too. And I liked the second piece so much that I thought I'd add to it some more, because that's what I do. I just add. I'm definitely not a minimalist. Minimalist? I'm definitely not a minimalist. And I went back in there with my orange paint to fill that back in so that I could add my highlights and lowlights from that point on. I feel like there was like 6 or 7 different points in this project where I could have stopped and it would have looked good. I think one of the reasons I just kept working on this was just because I was having so much fun doing it. I had all this extra paint mix, so I thought I'd take that and slob it on all the sides of the little painting so that it didn't go to waste and it looked more finished. Anytime you can orientate your project to make it easier to paint when you're working with a small piece, do it. Oh my goodness, I wish I could do this so many times when I'm working like on a huge dresser, and obviously I can't just like flip it on its side necessarily. So do that. And going to do the background with the barn board stamp, of course, and I'm just smudging and like softening some of those lines a little bit. Voila! There they are. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed that. I'm curious as to what other stamps would look like doing the technique that I used with the first project, just filling in the whole space using one stamp. I'm like thinking right now, like, it'd be fun just to experiment with that. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed.